Hello friends, I'm Kusum Lata, Associate Professor of Urban Regional Planning with Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. I welcome you to the stream of Development and Management of Infrastructure Projects. The first session of this stream, titled Comprehending Infrastructure, will be covered by addressing three basic questions. What is infrastructure? Its definition. What are the types of infrastructure and what are the characteristics of infrastructure? The word infrastructure is a combination of infra and structure. The infra prefix is Latin word and structure is a French word derived from the Latin word structura. Infra means below, as many of the constructions are underground, for example tunnels, water and gas systems and railways. The word has been used in French since 1875 and in English language since 1887. It became more prevalent in the United States after the formation of North Atlantic Treaty Organization in the 1940s. Infrastructure's original and simplest meaning is the installations that form the basis of any operation or system. The United States National Research Council panel in 1987 adopted public works infrastructure referring to 6 sectors, namely first, functional modes involving streets, roads, highways, bridges, mass transit, airports and airways. Second being the water supply and water resources. Third being wastewater management, solid waste treatment and disposal. Fourth being electric power generation and transmission. Fifth being telecommunications and sixth, last important one being hazardous waste management. Thus in 1987 itself, hazardous waste management had been considered as an important aspect of infrastructure. In terms of dictionaries meaning, Webster's dictionary defines infrastructure as the basic equipment and structures such as roads, bridges that are needed for a country, region or organization to function properly. Business Dictionary broadened the definition further to include public utility, telecommunication, transportation and waste removal facilities. Of the scholars, in 2004, Clark broadly defined infrastructure as the basic structure, the framework, the system which supports the operation of an organization like power and water supplies, the transportation and communication facilities, which makes economic development possible by the basic capital investment of a country. Jeff E. Fulmer in 2009 concisely defined infrastructure as the physical components of interrelated systems providing commodities and services essential to enable, sustain or enhance societal living conditions. Hence, it can be summarized that infrastructure refers to structures, systems including services and facilities necessary for economy of a country, city or area to function. Hindi word of infrastructure is आधारिक संरचना, पूर्व आवश्यकता या भूमि का रूप व्यवस्था. Infrastructure can be comprehended as operating procedures and management practices together with development policies that interact with societal demand and physical world to facilitate transport of people and goods, for provision of water for drinking and a variety of other uses like safe disposal of society's waste products, provision of energy and transmission of information within and between communities. Myriad infrastructure definitions with sector specific biases but with commonalities have been made by national, international agencies and states, municipalities, professionals and trade organizations, the financial community and academia and dictionaries. Nearly all involve the following characteristics of interrelated systems, physical components and societal needs. Infrastructure can be put into different overlapping types, namely hard or physical infrastructure, which refers to large physical infrastructure networks necessary for functioning of a country, state, region, city. Examples include roads, highways, bridges, as well as capital assets needed to make them operational, like transit buses, vehicles, oil refineries, etc. Second one being social or soft infrastructure, which refers to all the institutions that are required to maintain the economy, health, cultural and social standards of a country. These require human capital and help deliver certain services to the population. Example include systems like healthcare, education, government system, law enforcement and financial institutions. Third is urban infrastructure, which refers to hard or physical infrastructure generally owned and operated by municipalities, such as network of streets, water distributions, sewers and drains. It also includes some of the facilities associated with soft or social infrastructure, such as playgrounds, park, securities, schools, hospitals and libraries. Fourth being rural infrastructure, which encompasses major dams and canal works for irrigation and drainage, mandis, rural roads, rural water supply, rural electrification and rural telecommunication connectivity. Environmental infrastructure is an interconnected system of public and private lands containing woodlands, wetlands, wildlife habitats and sensitive areas with minimal intrusions from land development and light and noise pollution. Sixth type of infrastructure is transportation infrastructure, which include 7 subsectors, namely road and highway networks including bridges, canals, culverts, retaining walls, signages, electrical systems, curbs, landscaping. Second subsector in transportation infrastructure is mass transit systems like metro rail systems, subways, tramways, trolleys, cycle and car sharing systems and bus transportation. Third subsector being railways, which includes structures, rail yards, railway stations, level crossings, signaling, communication systems. Fourth subsector is waterways, seaports and lighthouses. Fifth subsector is airways, airports. Sixth being cycle tracks and pedestrian walkways, which includes bridges, underpasses, specialized structures for cyclists and pedestrians, and last of all is ferries. Seventh type of infrastructure is information technology infrastructure, which comprises of technical systems such as networking equipments and servers, which provide critical functions of sharing and moving data within a specific system environment. Eighth infrastructure is energy infrastructure, comprising of 6 subsectors, namely the first subsector of energy infrastructure is electrical power generation, network, plants, grids, substations and local distribution. The second subsector is natural gas pipelines, storage and distribution network, distribution terminals, and it may also include gas wells, fleets of ships and trucks transporting liquefied gas. Third subsector is petroleum pipelines, storage, distribution terminals. It may also include oil wells, refineries as well as the fleets of tanker, ships and trucks. Fourth subsector being specialized coal handling facilities for its washing, storing and transportation. Fifth subsector is electric vehicle networks for charging electric vehicles, and the last subsector being renewable energy, in which we have solar energy, windmills, biogas, nuclear energy. The ninth type of infrastructure is economic infrastructure, which is the internal facilities of city or a region or a country, such as communication, transportation and distribution networks, financial institutions and markets, energy supply systems that support business and productive activities. This includes roads, highways, bridges, airports, cycle tracks, water supply system, sewer systems, irrigation plants, etc. 10th type of infrastructure is critical infrastructure, which refers to processes, systems, facilities, technologies, networks, assets and services defined by a government as being essential to health, safety, security or economic well-being of citizens. The 11th type of infrastructure is complementary infrastructure, which brings perfection or completes the existing infrastructure like networks of light rail, railways, tramways, etc. The 12th infrastructure being institutional infrastructure, which determines the framework within which economic agents may formulate their own economic plans and carry them out in cooperation with others. These are the various types, of which there could be many other types as well, of which defense infrastructure is an important infrastructure, which I am not dealing here. So far we have seen the global definitions of infrastructure and the types of infrastructure. In India also, various institutions, organizations considered different sectors under infrastructure as per their requirement. In 2008, an empowered subcommittee of the Committee on Infrastructure compared considerations of the 7 organizations in context of 23 sectors and arrived to consensus on 14 sectors to be considered under infrastructure. These organizations and commissions were Dr. R.C. Rangarajan Commission of 2001 from National Statistical Organization, Dr. Rakesh Mohan Committee of 1996, Central Statistical Organization, Reserve Bank of India of 2007, Income Tax Department, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority in 2008, and Economic Survey of Ministry of Finance and the World Bank. So these institutions and commissions had considered various sectors as per their requirement, but the empowered Committee on Infrastructure studied these all the parameters of these institutions or organizations and arrived to 14 sectors to be considered as infrastructure. Now finally we discuss the characteristics of infrastructures, which had been suggested by Dr. C. Rangarajan, the chairman of National Statistical Commission in 2001. He suggested 6 characteristics for considering a sector to be an infrastructure sector. The first one being natural monopoly, that is, one organization caters to entire demand for goods and services at most efficient price. Second one being high sunk cost, that is, the cost has been incurred but cannot be recovered. Third characteristic being non-tradability of output, that is, the good that is intangible and non-tradable. Fourth being non-rivalness in consumption, that is, no conflict over additional consumer enjoying the benefits of a good or service. Fifth characteristic being possibility of price exclusion, that is, pricing not regulated by market forces. Sixth characteristic being bestowing externalities on society. These 6 characteristics are briefly explained in the presentation of the session 1. With this, we come to an end of the session 1. Thanks for your kind attention.